Shalom Evrocha, it's Yomi Hey Pashas Yitro Yudches Shvat Tavshim Pevov. Learning Zera Shimshon, as we know, is a skula for people to have children. As he writes in the Akdama, as we've mentioned many times, it's called Zera Shimshon. It brings Zera into the world, and the facts are facts. Many people have been helped by this incredible skula that the Zera Shimshon himself writes in his introduction. He's got to do whatever he can for the people that learn his sefer to be zoicha to Zara Chaya v'Kayama. I think in light of that, we will learn Beis Hashem Yisbarach Ois Yud Aleph in Parshas Yisro, and this will be a double dose skula. The piece itself will be a skula, as we will explain, and learning Zera Shimshon is in itself a tremendous skula, and this will help Be'ez Hashem Yisbarach for all those couples that are waiting to have children, that they will be nifkad b'dva Yeshua v'rachmem b'mheira b'yamenu ba'agolav izman korif. Let's learn this piece, Yudala Fanifradig piece, and then I'll try to explain why this piece is masugal for children to be brought into this world. Zog the Heilig Zera Shimshon Ois Yudalef. Medrash mispa plia. We sefer plia. There's a sefer plia, which means Medrashim that don't seem to make sense to us. We're all put together in one Medrash. This Medrash says the following. Kash'ala Moshe Rabbeinu l'amaroim. Moshe Rabbeinu goes up to Shemayim to get the Torah. Matzah l'Kadosh Baruch Hu. He finds the Eibishter, Shoya Omer. Hashem was saying one word. Chava. Amaloi, Moshe Rabbeinu says to Hashem, Rebbeinu d'Alma, my Chava, why are you saying the word Chava? Amaloi, Hashem responds, Ki hi hoisa eim kol choy. She was the mother of the entire world. Amaloi, says Moshe Rabbeinu to the Eibishter, if that's the case, Rebbeinu d'Alma, it came to Kre'ena Chaya. If she was the mother of kol choy, then she should not be called Chava, she should be called Chaya. Amaloi, Hashem responds, Chava is the mispakotten, the gematria of Ein Kol Choy. And this obviously needs an explanation. Who Pella Kishmoy, says a Zera Shimshon, this Medrash is a Pella, and it's not for nothing that it's written in the Sefer Plia, because it's a Pella, it's a wonder. This is very difficult to understand. The words don't seem to add up to us. Hashem was sitting there saying the word Chava. What does that mean? Moshe Rabbeinu asks him, my Chava. What was the question of Moshe Rabbeinu? Didn't Moshe Rabbeinu know a pasuk in Parshas Beis that says that Chava was called Chava because she was Em Kol Choy? So what's exactly the dialogue? What's going on? Ve'en loima, says the Zera Shimshon, that maybe the pshat is that Moshe Rabbeinu came to Shemayim when Hashem was writing the Torah, so to speak, and he was up to Parshas Beis, and they were up to the word Chava. Punct. Moshe Rabbeinu goes to Shemayim, Hashem is writing the Torah, and then he is writing the word Chava, as the halach is, the Sefer says the word before he writes it. If that's the case, what was Moshe Rabbeinu's question? The first question he asks, my Chava. What do you mean, what my Chava? Hashem was writing the word Chava. That's where he's up to in Parshas Beis. So what's the pshat in this Medrash? For oid, my remes, Chava mispakotten em kol choy. Why do you need that? Says the Heilige Zera Shimshon. I'm already getting pshat. V'yuven. But my Damrina Medrash Rabbah, the Medrash tells us on the pasuk, Koi soy mala Beis Yankoi v'sagid lefnei Yisrael. The introduction to Matan Torah was, we have to first approach the women, Eile Hanashim. We can't have a Matan Torah if we don't preface it by first going to the Nashim Tzidkanios. Why is that? V'lama l'Nashim Tchila, says the Medrash, Kadei sheyiyu megadlois b'neim the Torah. If you don't have mothers in Klal Yisrael that are ready to raise their sons for Torah, then we cannot have a Matan Torah. Torah can only exist when we have children going to the Moistus HaTorah, children going to the Torah, and that only happens when you have the mothers of Klal Yisrael encouraging them, helping them, preparing them, and getting them ready to go to Cheder, to go to school, to go to yeshiva. And therefore, before Matan Torah, you have to go to the Nashim. Says the Zera Shimshon, this is the Pshat in the Medrash. Moshe Rabbeinu goes to Shemayim, which means, the Torah is going to be given to the women first. Chava represents Nashim. She was the first woman in history. Therefore, Hashem was talking about giving the Torah to Klal Yisrael. Hashem says Chava, which means, first and foremost, we have to get the women on board. Amulai my Chava. Moshe Rabbeinu asks, why is that so? Why do we need the women to be involved before we get the men involved? Hashem responds, Amaloi, ki hi hoisa em kol choy. We need the women. B'shvil shemegadlois b'neim the Talmud Torah. It's the women that raise the children of Talmud Torah. If we don't have children learning Torah, we have no future. And that future happens because of the chavos, because of the nashim. And they prepare their children, help them, and we have a Torah. That's why they're called the mother of Kol Choy. I would add, in Chazal we have a lashon aim, which means the ikka, the most important. As Chazal say, yesh aim lemikra, yesh aim lemesoris. Aim means the most important factor. The aim Kol Choy, which means the existence of the world, the continuity of the world, is because of the Nashim. It's because of them. And that's why they call Chava. Continues as Zera Shimshon, he brings the Mashah. Originally, Chava was called Isha. She was called the Isha, she was taken from the Ish. Isha. After the sin of the Eitz Hadas, Chazal ekrois Chava. Then we call the Chava. Why? Don't think that from now on the women are not so important because they brought sin into the world. No. She still has the Maila. The entire world comes from the women. Frag the Zera Shimshon, I don't understand. You're giving the women all the credit. They are the ones that bring the whole world into existence. That's not true. The kasha, a person's comprised of three partners: the Eibishter, the father, the mother. The women only have a third. So why do we say that she is the aim kol choy? The understanding is Lefisha Isha Megadeles Habonim L'Torah Yoisame Ish. They are involved in chinuch more than the man. Or Behedron Rina Besanhedron. The Gemara says in Hedron, Meir of Yalda and Michal Gidla. There was two women. One gave birth to these children, and Michal raised them. V'nikra Hashem Michal, Tichsev Hashem Yalda Michal. When they raise children, then they are called the Ikka mother. L'kach nikra Hashem Isha. That was going on. Moshe Rabbeinu goes to Shemayim. He finds Hashem saying Chava, which means the women are the ones that are the most important factor in Kabbalah Torah. Says Moshe Rabbeinu, why? My Chava. Why are you giving them all the credit? Why does all the responsibility lie on the women? Amaloi, Hashem responds, Ki hi hoise ein kol choy. They are the ikra of kol choy. Says Moshe Rabbeinu, in Kain Tikrei Chaya. Why don't we call the women Chaya or call Chava Chaya? Hoyel shin ikra oidam. Because they are the life itself. Torah is Kehem Chayenu. And the women bring that Torah into existence. So the women should be called Chaya. Amaloi, Chava Misvakotten. Ein kol choy. She'ener ir legad labonim elek shem katanim. Ein kol choy, which means we try to send a message. She is the mother of the children when they are young. It's mispar cotton. Chaya. when they are young, they need the mother's warmth, they need the ava, they need the dedication, they need the mesirus, and the mothers are then the ones that infuse within the hearts and the minds of the children the values of Torah mitzvahs, Beis Yaakov, Sagil Bnei Yisrael, and they are the ikr of the world. Aim kol choy. So the Hashem Yisborach, we have to have chava, which is the mispakotten gematria, aim kol choy, in order to have a Torah to be given to Klal Yisrael. Devarim nefloim ad ma'od. And this is what I want to add. We know the Gemara tells us when Chana wasn't a Koresh, wasn't having children, she turned to the Eibishter and she said, Hashem Yisborach, you created me with many body parts that were only there in order to be able to raise children. You didn't create anything in this Bria Levatala. If I'm going to be an Akara, said Chanas, why do I have these body parts? And that caused her to have children. And I think in light of this piece of Zera Shimshon, we can also turn to the Eibishter. Women, by nature, have inside them this idea that they have the patience, they have the savlanas, they have the warmth, they have the ability to raise children. After learning this piece of Zera Shimshon, we can dive into the Eibishter for all those nashim that are waiting to give birth to children, to be megadol children. They'll turn to the Eibishter and say, we have it. We have this ability. We have these koyches hanefesh. You gave it to us in order that we should be zoiche, to have children, to raise them, to Torah, l'chupel amaisim toivim. And therefore Hashem will say, this is correct. We all the women have inside them this chelik of chava, and this will be ma'orem yitz Hashem, that all the Yiddish mamas, all the Yiddish meidlach will find their zivugim, and all the Yiddish wives will become Yiddish mamas. And we're bezoichet here, Besuras Toivas, the Chusay Agadol, Vakadish, Yagan Aleinu, Besuras Toivas, Hagut Shabbos.